Beneath the surface of the Atlantic Ocean, in the dark, cold silence, thousands of men fought a hidden war. They weren't on ships or in the sky, but deep beneath the waves, in cramped metal tubes no longer than a passenger jet. These were the U-boat crews of Nazi Germany, tasked with strangling Allied supply lines in what became one of the most brutal campaigns of the Second World War. But beyond the torpedoes and wolf packs was another story, a human story of hardship, fear, monotony, and resilience. This is life aboard a World War II U-boat. Germany's U-boat fleet formed the heart of the Kriegsmarine's Atlantic strategy. From 1939 onward, they set out to destroy Allied shipping, aiming to isolate Britain and starve it into submission. These submarines prowled the seas in packs, Rudel tactic, or wolf pack tactics, coordinating attacks on convoys under cover of night. At their peak, U-boats were sinking hundreds of thousands of tons of Allied shipping per month. But it came at a staggering cost. Of over 40,000 German submariners, nearly 30,000 were killed. Life aboard these vessels was anything but glamorous. It was a constant battle, not just against the enemy, but against the ocean itself. The most common model was the Type 7, a submarine that was fast, maneuverable, and lethal. Just 220 feet long and about 20 feet across, it was equipped with 4 forward torpedo tubes, 1 aft, and enough room for 14 torpedoes. Barely. The vessel had diesel engines for surface travel and battery-powered electric motors for submerged operations. But it could only stay underwater for about 24 to 48 hours before needing to surface and recharge. It wasn't pressurized like a modern submarine. The deeper it went, the more dangerous things became. At around 200 meters, the pressure could buckle steel. A U-boat crew typically consisted of 40 to 50 men, and every man had a specific job. At the top was the captain lieutenant, the commander, responsible for navigation, attack decisions, and morale. The first watch officer, or XO, handled periscope operations and attack coordination. The chief engineer kept the engines and critical systems running. Then there were radio men, machinists, cooks, electricians, and torpedo specialists, each vital. There was no room for error. Even the youngest crewman, often just 17 or 18 years old, carried responsibilities. A mistake could mean the entire boat's doom. Life aboard was a grueling routine of 4-hour shifts. Work, eat, rest, then do it again. Sleep came in 6-hour rotations, if at all. The bunking situation was dire. There weren't enough beds, so crewmen hot-bunked, sharing bunks and rotating as shifts changed. Hygiene was nearly impossible. Water was reserved for drinking and cooking. Showers were non-existent. After a few days, the stench was overwhelming: diesel fumes, body odor, mold, and rotting food. Meals, surprisingly, were decent, at least at first. U-boats left port with crates of sausages, potatoes, eggs, canned goods. But without refrigeration, fresh food spoiled quickly. By week 3, it was canned stew or dry bread. Space was so limited that food was stored in every possible spot, between torpedoes, under bunks, even in the toilet. In downtime, men wrote letters, played cards, or listened to music on phonographs. Others simply sat in silence, conserving energy in the stifling heat. Every crew member was expected to know emergency drills by heart: sealing compartments, diving fast, extinguishing fires, or escaping through the conning tower. When contact was made with an enemy convoy, the atmosphere shifted instantly. The U-boat would dive, approach silently, and prepare to launch torpedoes. Inside, the crew operated in near total silence. Every clang, every footstep could give away their position. After firing, they dived deep, sometimes below recommended limits, as Allied destroyers launched depth charges. Explosions rocked the hull. Lights flickered. Valves strained. The steel creaked like it was about to collapse. For hours, sometimes days, crews sat still in the dark, conserving oxygen and hoping they wouldn't be crushed or discovered. One wrong move, a leak, an electrical short, a silent air bubble escaping, could mean death for everyone aboard. Morale was a strange mix of fatalism and camaraderie. Many believed they wouldn't return. Superstition was rampant. Some sailors refused to shave before patrol, Others carried lucky charms or performed rituals before diving. Mental strain was immense. Weeks underwater, no sunlight, poor sleep, constant fear. Some suffered breakdowns. Others became numb. And yet, bonds formed in the silence. Jokes were shared. Letters from home were read aloud. Birthdays were marked with chocolate or saved sausages. They were soldiers, but also sons, husbands, and brothers, trapped in steel coffins beneath the sea. As Allied technology advanced, the tides turned. Radar, sonar, and long-range aircraft began decimating U-boats by 1943. What was once a deadly threat became a desperate struggle for survival. Losses mounted. Fewer missions returned. By war's end, most U-boat crews were dead. The average survival rate for a German submariner was lower than any other branch of service. Today, a handful of U-boats remain in museums, silent steel reminders of the war beneath the waves. And while the ideology they served was monstrous, the lives they lived inside those vessels were marked by endurance, fear, and an unrelenting will to survive. Life aboard a U-boat in World War II was not heroic in the traditional sense. It was lonely, grueling, and deadly. These men lived in darkness, fought in silence, and died by the thousands. But their story remains a critical chapter in understanding the human cost of naval warfare. Thank you for watching. If you found this video insightful, consider subscribing for more untold stories from history's most harrowing corners. Until next time.